So the question is, when you are setting out a goal, what are you really doing? And why do you need to set out a goal? Because you'll not be able to succeed if you don't understand the purpose of yourself setting the goal. And you'll find many of us believe that every new year you should set out a goal. Every new year you should set out a goal. But then the question is, what motivates you to set out the goal? And what plans do you have in place to ensure success in terms of achieving the objective of that goal? So my objective tonight, as I present this session, is for us to examine ourselves, examine the goals that we have set, and check whether they align with our objectives, align with our mission, and assess the chances of achieving them or the chances of getting there. So we need to gear ourselves towards that, and we can only gear ourselves towards that by understanding what goal setting is, what a goal is, what goal setting is, and what steps we need to follow to ensure that we get to success. If you find that you have set a goal and you have not adhered to this, then you can align yourself along the way to ensure that you have followed the steps towards success. So what is a goal? There are many definitions of goals, as there are many others, academicians and practitioners. But I've picked the simplest of them all, that a goal is an aim or objective that you would like to achieve within a certain time. As you look about the steps and the qualities, characteristics of a goal, then we'll see where time comes and objectives and all that. But the purpose here is a goal is an aim or an objective. You'll find that generally a goal is that broad aim of wanting to go somewhere. And you'll find for you to be able to achieve that goal, you need to break it down into objectives, because as we know that objectives are measurable, they are SMART. And through achieving these various objectives, you can be able to achieve a goal. Since a goal is a broad aspect, a broad aim, then we break it down to objectives to be able to achieve that. So when we are setting out a goal, we should ensure that that goal can be broken down further, so that as we achieve those small components, then we can be able to achieve that. So the question comes, where did the goal originate from? Because it did not start from somewhere, and we are told that now we have a goal. Goal started somewhere, and the origin of goal comes from a scholar by the name of Edwin Locke in the early 1960s. That's when Locke started doing some research onto human activities and looked into how possible it is to work along something to achieve or to get somewhere. Over the years, since the beginning of the century, people have been working, people have been achieving, but then there was no clear way of ensuring that you can be able to get to a general situation or get to a general place or refine what you are focusing on. So at the onset of the theory, the goal setting theory that many of us are aware of, you find initially before that, people don't have so much focus on goal setting. People are just working and achieving. But today, you'll also find many of us don't set goals, but still we achieve something along the way. But then there is some origin to goal setting, and which made it possible for people to start working towards somewhere in terms of enumerating or quantifying what they need to achieve. So what is goal setting? You've seen a goal is that aim that can be broken down to objectives, but now what is goal setting? Goal setting is a process that individuals, organizations, or groups can work towards, one, ensuring that there's a clarity into what they are aspiring. Because a goal is an aspiration. You want to be somewhere, you are trying to focus to end somewhere. So where you want to be is an aspiration. You want to aspire to be there. So you need to clarify. So goal setting, the act of goal setting, which becomes now a process because we are doing a couple of activities, and that's why we're calling it a process. you need to clarify what you want to achieve. So today you will say that by the end of this year, I want to be somewhere in my career. Some of us are students. You will want to say that by the end of this year, I want to achieve a certain qualification or a certain certification. Now, you will not just achieve that certification or that qualification. You need to clarify how to go about it. So you need to put a clarity into that particular vision. And that will be achieved through the goal setting. When you are goal setting, since it's a process, through the steps that we'll discuss down here, then you'll find that clarity will need to come in. Then you'll also need to focus on the effort that will be required to get there. Because saying alone will not get you to that goal. By the fact that you profess, many of us believe in a supernatural being, which is very much in order. And those of us who are prayerful, those of us who are biblical, we believe that with prayers, mountains can be moved. But then again, the Bible again tells us that you need to work to achieve something. You need to put in effort to achieve something. So you need to focus on what effort is required. And effort here will be in terms of the muscle, your body physical effort, will also be in terms of time, in terms of resources, effort in terms of financial commitment, effort in terms of utajituma kiasi gani. That's necessary. And then once that has been put in place, that you are clear where you want to be, you are clear of what resources you require and how you will get them or save them, then you will need to put in place a process or a way to measure you are getting there. So if you require certification by December, then you need to know that this certification requires maybe classwork, requires some assessments, requires maybe some modules that you have to go through. One module, which is maybe a month, another 2 months, etc. So you need to understand how you'll be able to measure your progress. Because not say that you require to be somewhere at the end of the year, and then you expect magically somehow at the end of the period, you'll just be there. There are many challenges that we face along the way. And these challenges give us an opportunity to do revision of the effort that we required. If you're doing a race, you have gone to the marathon, and your aspiration is to be among the top 3, you will get out there and you'll find that other runners or other elites also have that aspiration of becoming in the top number 3, top 3. So the question is, who becomes that one will depend on the effort put in place. You had decided that the effort will put in place will be running this much time per kilometer, but then you find your competitors are running faster than that. Then the measure of progress will determine if you are doing this, then you need to reevaluate the effort you're putting in place and improve it. If you are doing or performing below par as per your aspirations, then you need to say, this is the milestone I had set. I'd expect to be here at this time, but now I'm not there. So what do I need to do? You need to review. And that can only come by undertaking measurement. So if you measure, then you will be able to tell whether you are on course or not. If you're on course, you can maintain. If you are deviating from course, and especially by a negative variation, then you will need to improve further. If you are doing better than expected, then you can either maintain or you can review downwards to ensure that you align with what you expected based on resource permitting. Then during goal setting, that's the period within which an individual will be able to create a roadmap that will guide them towards achieving their dreams. So you have decided and determined what your aspirations are. You have looked into the and decided these are the efforts required. And this is the formula or the measurement method that I'll use. And these are the milestones with which I'll use to measure. So if that's the case, then what will happen is you will now need to create the roadmap. You document it. Many of the times, many of us don't document whatever we are doing. You get out, you start doing things, and tomorrow you are where you are. At the end of the day, you will not be able to look back and learn from the steps that you had taken because there was no documentation. A person will not be able to follow what you did because you have not documented it. So it's good as you prepare the roadmap, which can be a mental roadmap, it's good to prepare also a written roadmap. And this roadmap will help you look back, reflect, and then that will give you a motivation to continue. Others can learn from you. And also there can be a documentation in terms of how best that can be done. If you achieve, then you'll find this route I followed was very nice. It helped me to achieve even beyond my expectations. And then you can put in place to use it in the future or for others to borrow from you. So as you set goals, it is important for you to reflect on the past year or the past period. If you are setting monthly goals, reflect on the past month. If you are setting weekly goals, reflect on the past week. If you are setting daily goals, focus and reflect on the day before. And if it's annual goals, reflect on the year before. And why is that the case? You'll want to know what went well. What among the things that I set out, what worked? And how will you know that it worked? You have achieved the result. And you might have achieved the result without any measurement, or you might have followed the process that we said, and then we'll say, yes, this worked very well. I had done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it worked very well. So you are reflecting on the past and finding this one worked well. If it worked very well, then you can borrow from that one so that you can work on the next goals using the similar formula. Then you look at what could be improved based on the performance of the yesteryear. Then you'll be able to tell this one maybe worked well, but not as well as I expected. Because in as much as, for example, I had expected to be at this position. And sure enough, you achieved that position. But then someone else that you never expected to be better than you really beat you into it. You can say, for example, you are doing your business. You have gotten into business and you want to say, you have said that I expect to gain 10% profitability. And sure enough, you gain 10% profitability. You have achieved your goal. But then you find the average market achievement was 20%. Your achievement was 10%, but the average market achievement was 20%. You'll find in as much as I achieved my goal, then I need to improve to be at par with the industry. You may find that you never achieved, and then you need to learn from your mistakes. What did I do wrong? Where did I go wrong? And then you can check on that. The only way that you'll be able to tell really where you went wrong is when you look through the documentation and the measurement, and then you realize at maybe month 1, I expected to have achieved this, but I fell short of that based on the measurement in place. And then you can be able to correct that in the next period by putting in place some corrective measures. So don't go out setting a goal without reflecting on the performance for the previous period. Because if you don't, the mistakes that you committed will be carried on to the next phase. So goal setting should be focused so much in a reflective way from our previous performances. And then you also need to see from the past performance, what are the learning points? The learning points are maybe you have got some weaknesses in particular areas, or your strengths are in particular areas, or you are slow in taking up some opportunities which bypassed, or there is competition that is coming about which you need to improve on, or there are some gaps that you need to fill. Maybe if it is career development, there are some gaps that you need to fill, maybe through training, maybe through coaching. You are out to search for a job as a goal. You have been desiring to change jobs, and you tell yourself within this year, I would like to change my job. Then you set out a plan. And if the plan is very clear, it will detail and document what is required for that change to happen. Because you don't just sit back and say, I want to change my job, and then you just sit back and keep sending the CV that you have. You may require to have your CV retailored, improved to reflect the change that you want. Remember, many of us have all the qualifications required to change jobs or to shift jobs, but You cannot use the same CV that you are working on to change to a job that has different requirements. You need to tailor it to that. And if that's the case, then you need to have that as a key focus, that I need to change jobs. Then part of the requirements in terms of what you have just looked at the previous slide, what should I do? And then you'll find the resource requirement is a good CV. Get to someone. That's why you find our hostel will become key. You consult, some coaching will be necessary. How can I do that? But the moment you say that you want to do things your way and you have not learned from what you didn't do right in the previous period, then it becomes a challenge because you'll keep repeating the mistakes. So reflect on the year past, get to know what went well, what worked well, get to know what requires improvement, and document the learning points. And those learning points are what will help you and others to correct and improve. Then the question comes, why is it necessary? What are the benefits of goal setting? You'll find, as I said, you will be able to benefit. You will be able to achieve without setting goals. There are people who have been very successful without doing what is expected of them, without getting coaching, without getting tailored CVs, without even going out there to job search. They just apply their first job. Miraculously, they'll get their first CV will be selected. They will be picked for an interview. They will be interviewed and become successful. And that's how they'll get a job from their first application. And to them, they may not understand the issues why someone needs to set a goal when they are searching for a job, because they know this is an easy task. So sometimes we achieve that goal setting, but it doesn't mean that we'll always be that lucky. So when you sit down and decide to take up the process of goal setting, then the benefits that may accrue will include, among others, improved performance. You have learned from your mistakes, so your future performance will be better. There is increased motivation. You have learned. You have achieved something. So when you are setting your goals, then it gives you motivation. And how is this? There are some of us who are motivated by achieving greater things, greater goals, if I may put that way. So if you are such an individual who is motivated by achieving or by producing good results, then when you set goals, because they'll be giving you a chance to improve on your performance, they'll be giving you a target to beat, then it motivates you towards that improved performance or productivity. Then goal setting helps you in having a clear focus and direction towards where you want to go. We are told that if you don't have a target, a direction, then you can end up anywhere. So the moment you set your goal, then you'll be able to get an inspiration, and then you can focus on that inspiration, and there'll be a direction in terms of the roadmap towards that direction. Then it gives you confidence. And confidence will come in that you know what you are doing. You have detailed the resources that you require. And in detailing the resources that you require, you know you have the capacity to acquire. You know you have what it takes you to achieve. And that's the confidence that you require, that you have the resources, you know what is required of you, and then you get out there to do it because you have already determined the road map. So, before getting to the steps of goal setting, I'd like us to briefly look at that. That is the 5 C's of setting goal setting framework. You'll find when you are setting goals, we have said there is aspect of clarity of vision, meaning you need to be very clear with what you want. Why are you deciding on that goal? You need to have a clear purpose. And with that clear purpose, it will give you all that you need, because you'll have the best intention towards achieving your goal. So clarity is very key. And clarity will come about knowing why, deciding the purpose, and then the mission is very open. Then you need to have the aspect we just talked about, issues of confidence. The moment you have adequate confidence in what you are working on, you have determined a roadmap, it is very clear, then you'll find that aspect of setting a roadmap with clear resources and clear timelines will give you that confidence that you require to be able to achieve. And as such, you'll be looking towards acquiring or achieving an objective. So the confidence that you develop will create what I would call some energy, some force that will be pushing you towards achieving of that particular goal that you have set. So it's proper that you have confidence towards the goal. The moment you find that you don't feel confident enough to pursue a certain direction, then it is important that you let off a particular goal. You don't have to achieve all goals. The moment you find some of the goals you are putting in place are not very clear or don't feel very confident pursuing them, then in terms of prioritization, you can set them at the bottom of your priority list. Then the next is that there is the aspect of challenge. If you find that you are setting out goals that are too easy to achieve, then they'll not give you the motivation that you require to get there. Because the moment you acquire a goal, that very quickly, like you are setting out an annual goal, you are looking based on the circumstances, the condition of the economy, and your own capability. This goal can only be achieved in December, but you achieve it in February. Then the question comes, what will you be doing during the rest of the months? So the goal that you should be setting should be such a goal that is challenging enough, that can be done step by step while you learn, and outcomes then can be used to assist you and propel you to the next level of the goal that you have in place. And then there's the issue of consistency. You should be consistent. If you've set out a goal and the goal requires to be achieved incrementally, then you should consistently tick off the levels of achievement towards the next level. You should not feel or get the impetus of doing number 5 when you should have done number 3 and number 4 before you get number 5. So if there is need to achieve incrementally, be consistent with that and keep ticking off the actions that have been carried out in terms of achieving the goal. Occasionally during measurement, it's also important to check on whether you have ticked off or achieved the steps that had been set out earlier before you get to a particular point. And then the last C in the 5C goal framework, you find that there is need for connection. Connection can be taken to mean many things, but then the connection that I'm looking at is that you need to be connected to the goal. You don't need to have so many things that are going through you that you are detached from the goal such that it becomes a task. Rather, the connection that you should be having with the goal should make you one with the goal, that in achieving the goal, there is a certain level of satisfaction that is getting into you. Because the moment it becomes more of a task, then you lose the touch and the motivation levels will go down because the interest also will keep reducing. So the connection here should be you feeling one with the goal. So you should create that purpose and make the goal your purpose, and then you'll develop proximity and closeness that increases the level of desire in your achievement. So that said, then what are the steps that you'll require getting to the goal that you have aspired? You'll find the first step that is critical is that you need to define your goals. You have many goals. You may have many. So clearly define what you want to achieve. You said you have an aspiration, make it very clear. Identify your long-term vision and break it down into SMART goals. Identify your priorities and focus on the key goals. You'll find that generally speaking, and as management and managers will say, goals are broad-based. And them being broad-based, for you to be able to achieve them clearly, you need to break them down. Breaking them down, you'll come to objectives, and objectives are what feeds into the goals. For you to set out the objective, you need it to be SMART. SMART meaning you need to be very specific on what you want. And what you want should be measurable, and that is the M. What you will be measuring should be achievable. Meaning, I want, for example, today, as a job seeker, you've finished your education, you have finished school. Let's say you've graduated last year, and you want to tell yourself that by next year, I want to get into employment and I want to become a manager. It's possible. In that, if you start your own organization, you can become the manager. You can become anything in your own organization. However, if you are getting into employment and you are getting into a large organization, like many of us like working in large organizations, it will not be easy to become a manager within a year in a large organization when you have just come from school. So achievability of an objective is also very critical. Don't just get into it because you feel you can. Look into it, and that's where the other R comes. You should be realistic. Can this be done? Yes. Do I have the capacity to do it myself? It is possible. It might be able. People may be able to do it. It's maybe achievable, but the question is for yourself. Can you be able to do it? It's achievable to others, but is it achievable to you? It's realistic to others. Is it realistic to me? And then the last is of objectives is being time bound. There should be a time frame within which these goals should be achieved. And as I say, for you to be able to make goals SMART, then you need to break them down to objectives. And then when they are SMART, specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. If an objective is not meeting that criteria, then it becomes a challenge for you to achieve your goals. On the right of the screen, there is a framework of concentric circles. Within, you'll find the aspects of the goal that will be in place. You need to ensure that the deadlines are very clear, and that is issue about time bound. The deadline is clear within 1 year, within 5 months, within 6 months. So in terms of clarity of time and in being realistic, don't look for a goal that requires a month and give it a year. You'll get bored along the way because you'll achieve it very quickly, and then there'll be nothing much to be done in the times to come. And then goals should be aligned with values and objectives. While it is possible to do things that are abstract to you, that don't make a meaning to your life, you'll find that it becomes easy for you when you are working on things that align very well with your values and goals. That's why you hear many people say, if you are not in sync with what an organization is doing, don't keep attacking it, leave. If you really have values, and you find that what you are doing is not aligning with your values, then you can leave to pursue other issues and let others who don't have a problem with that continue. So your goals should be aligning with your values. Even as we seek jobs, our jobs should be aligning with values. That's the reason you find many religious institutions, when they are advertising for their jobs, they'll clearly seek someone who meets their values. They'll want to ask for believers, people who are born again. Although it may be difficult to measure how the levels of being born again, you find it's a value. And you should espouse such a value to be able to fit in a particular area. The same with your goals. You should espouse specific values to be able to take up a particular goal. The issue of realistic and attainable goals. There should be a criteria to track progress and success. And the definition of goals being very clear, they should be clearly defined and unambiguous. There should not be gray areas about the achievement. It should be very clear. Only two colors, black and white. It's either on this shade or not. If it's not black, it's white. But don't put the third color, because that color will blind you into thinking that you are on a level that you really are not. And then the ultimate goal for you is to achieve, the aspiration to achieve the goal that is in place. And that goal should be the long-term vision or the aim. What you are looking to achieve should be your aspiration. If you're looking to land it somewhere, then that should be it. Then the next step that you should look at as a goal setter is ensuring that you write the goals down. We've said that documentation is very critical. And the reason why it is critical is the moment you revisit something, it will always be giving you a motivation. Today, if you revisit some of things that you documented some time back, they'll be giving you some memory that will bring some nostalgia to your life. You'll feel feeling some synchrony with something that you wrote down some time back. And that's what you also find even when you go to meetings, sessions, seminars, workshops, and etc. We always like noting things down. Not really because you want to go and read tomorrow, but somehow it helps you. It helps to sink into you. As you write, you get to understand it better and also get to seep into you better. So writing down goals is very important and a critical step for goal setting. So once you have finished with the previous step of defining your goals, then you need to write them down. This act of writing the goals down will help you to solidify your commitment to the goals and make the goals more tangible. Sometimes you find what is in your mind is very clear until you put it in writing. The same thing you find when you are talking to someone. When the thought is in your mind, processing in your mind, it is always very clear. You understand it very well in a very nice language, maybe very nice English, very nice process. But when someone tells you to explain it, one, you find the language disappears. That English, that refined English you wanted to use to explain whatever it is that you know disappears. And second, that nice explanation that you had in your mind also disappears. And that's what we find the moment you are expressing through word or in writing, you find whatever it is that was your mind changes. And that's what you find the moment you are writing essays and etc., you always keep refining and reviewing the sentences and the structure, because as you put it down, you see it differently from when it was in your mind. And that's the issue about commitment and tangibility in writing down of these goals. So you should also keep your goals visible by placing them in a location where you will see them regularly. Many of us usually document or put down very many goals. And sometimes you may find the goals are very many because some, in one way or another, replicate. It's only that we have used so many. Sometimes you don't really have goals, you only have objectives. We have got so many of them. Sometimes they're not even goals, they're not even objectives, they're activities, and there are so many of them, of which if we were good enough to look through them, we would have merged a couple of them and made a few goals, maybe 2 or 3 goals. And then from those goals, we could have broken them down into objectives and then broken them down further to activities. So many of us usually have activities that you are undertaking, that you are looking out to maybe lose 10 kilos. While that may look like a goal, it is really not a goal, it's an activity. You'll just be out there to execute it. So when you write down the goals, and the reason you can say it can be somewhere you can be able to see them on a wall, on a notice board. If you are in the office, you can have it pinned on your computer desktop, on the screen, that every moment you open your screen, you can see this is what I purpose to achieve, and then it will be reminding you every now and then. So writing down and a goal should be seen like the development of this butterfly on this goal achievement journey, whereby if you look at the journey, you have the caterpillar, it's a butterfly, but when we meet it foraging leaves and etc., we may not look at it as a caterpillar, and we may not see the beautiful butterfly that will come in the future. Because one, we may not be able to determine what type of a butterfly it contains. So that is like an undefined goal. So the moment you write the goal down, which is the second step, which in the life cycle of the butterfly is the pupae, then you write the goal down, and you'll find they'll come about clarity as you write it down, that you'll be able to understand that goal better. Then it will give you a chance to solidify your commitment to it. You have written it down, you have understood it better, and clear, then you can be able to commit yourself to it. And then once you have that commitment, there's a dedication towards its achievement. You pin it somewhere, it becomes visible, and then you can be able to be seeing it every now and then. It will keep reminding you. Unless you have grown so much used to it by not doing anything on it, it will always keep reminding you. But the moment you avoid doing or procrastinate some of the activities that you have noted to be done, then you'll find it will not be motivating you anymore. And then the focus on the tangibility of the goals is the end result of our life cycle development here. So once you have written down your goal, then you need to create an action plan. And this action plan should help you, in among other issues, break down large goals into smaller steps. I've said that when you have a goal, then you need to bring it down. And the only way to bring it down is to break it into objectives. The objectives are smart. And with their smartness, there are activities that can be drawn from these objectives. And those are the smaller steps we are talking about. So once you have broken them into those smaller steps, you'll find, as some management experts say, you can be able to achieve some of these small ones. And then along the way, the small gains or the small wins, as you celebrate them and you keep building on them, then you are achieving the goal. So you break down large goals into smaller steps. You set deadlines for each particular step. Those are the activities. You've set out that you'll be, for example, you'll be applying to 2 jobs every day. That is the step that you have set out to be applying to jobs every day. Then the next is setting out the steps. When will you be doing it? By 3 p.m. you should have, or by 3 p.m. you should have applied for those 2 jobs within the next 1 month. So set deadlines for each particular step. Then identify resource requirements and the support that you need to do that activity. If you have said that you should be applying for 2 jobs every day by 2 p.m., what do you require? Many of us nowadays are doing things virtually. So I want to apply for 2 jobs. You require internet, you require maybe a laptop or a phone, and whatever else that is required. Then what obstacles do you anticipate? Because generally, there should be expectation that not everything will be going smooth, that you need to anticipate such obstacles. Those the question is, what obstacles can come about? Maybe there may be blackout, you may run low on data, among others. You need to envision that there may be challenges. So what happens with those particular challenges? So to ensure that the action plan is created effectively, there's that need to maintain the motivation. You have started, keep motivated. Don't just do it today and tomorrow you are not there. Stay organized, that you need to keep all tasks and deadlines in order to streamline your efforts. That you have said that this activity needs to be done within these timelines, it is done. Then breaking down those goals into manageable tasks is very important. You need to develop positive habits and routines in carrying out the particular actions that you have said. You need to develop a positive habit. And the positive habit means that not all things will go right. As we have seen, there may be some obstacles. But then you need to maintain the habit and the routine. The routine here is not doing the same thing the same way all the time. For example, we said that you have decided that you need to be applying 2 jobs every day. You don't just wake up every day, then browse through the internet, get some few corporate emails and send your CV. The routine will mean you do the application, but then the process can change. You need to seek opportunities in places, join various groups or channels that post jobs, actively engage with recruiters, get to know where the openings are, and then you can make your 2 applications. That is keeping up with the routine. The positivity aspect is that things not always go right. You'll do an application maybe for a whole month, no one even responds, no one even gives you a regret, but then be positive, it can come. So identify habits that will support your goals, start small and build gradually, and you should keep being consistent. It is that consistency that will take you there. Then you need to overcome challenges. You have said that obstacles will be there. You need to tackle those obstacles in a proactive way. Proactive meaning you need to act before the obstacle comes on your way. So for example, I'm talking about you applying for a job, depending on Wi-Fi to apply for the job, then the question comes, if tomorrow I should be applying and there is power blackout, it will mean that Wi-Fi may not be available. So how will I tackle that one? You proactively prepare during or within the timeline that I should be doing my activity. I should avail myself a phone that has some data, a fallback plan. I have got some data somewhere that I can use in case this is not available. I have a power bank somewhere that I can use to charge my phone if the power is out. That is being proactive, looking through before you are caught. So identify potential barriers in advance, develop problem-solving strategies, and stay resilient and persistent despite setbacks. Setbacks will be there. You'll be going for job interviews. They'll tell you are the best. They'll get back to you after a short while. Sometimes they may never get to you because many of the interviewers are not mindful enough to keep their word, as they will politely tell you they'll get back to you, but they may never get back to you, or they may get back to you so late that you got into another job. So you should stay positive, proactively positive, should keep persistent despite setbacks that may come your way. Again, the next step is that you should stay accountable. Who are you accountable to? You should be accountable to yourself. Hold yourself to account. You have set out a goal. You have set out a plan. You've said that I should be doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How can you keep being accountable to that? You can only keep accountable to that if you share your goals with someone who, in a way, is maybe senior enough or frank enough to hold you accountable. So accountability is key to achieving your goals. You need to share your goals with a friend, a mentor, a coach, or someone who can support you and hold you accountable. Someone will ask you, you have said that you'll be doing 1, 2, 3. Today you have not done that. Why? Okay. So if you have someone who will hold you to account or who will ask you questions, who will push you, then you are building yourself room for accountability. So you need to regularly check in. So regular check-ins can help you to stay on track and make adjustments as needed. That your friend will keep asking, have you done? Have you done? Your mentor should keep you on track. A coach should keep you on track. Someone that is trustworthy can also put you on track by holding you to account and holding you and supporting you when necessary to ensure that you keep the path. So the only way this individual will be able to help you is when you have shared your goals with them. They know what's expected of you. They know the plan. If you have detailed roadmap, then they'll give you, you'll have shared the roadmap with them. This is what I expect over the period. So they'll ask you, within 2 months, you expect to have done that. Now it's 2 months. What have you done? They'll help you in aspect and in terms of the assessment or in terms of measurement. They will be your support system. When you are down, when you're lacking some resources, when you need a shoulder to lean on, a shoulder to cry on, when you need someone to talk to, they'll be there to share with you and support you. And that's why it is necessary to make regular check-ins with these accountability partners to let them know where you are, to let them know the challenge that you are facing, and then they can motivate you, they can support you, they can hold you towards that direction. Many of us are suffering not because there are not adequate opportunities out there of which they are earned, but because we don't have the support system that we require to assist us to navigate the murky waters. Some of us will only come out when already it's too late. So always ensure you are available and you are ready to share, to get an accountability partner. And the accountability partner is not just to check on your progress, but also to support you towards that particular progress. Then it's important to monitor your progress. And this can be done through regular reviews that you need to keep measuring. You need to identify what is working and what needs adjustment. Once you have reviewed your progress, you'll know where you are. You may be within range, beyond or below. Then you'll know what is working and what is not working. You'll know what requires to be adjusted and what requires to be sustained. Then, if need be, it's important to celebrate your achievements. They may not be big, but you need to celebrate them. Sometimes we look at what we have achieved against what we had envisioned, and we feel maybe a little bit beaten. But the issue is that we should always appreciate and celebrate the short-term wins. Michael Porter puts it that as part of the steps in his 8-step management change process, he says that you should celebrate short-term wins, because these short-term wins will build into greater wins. So celebrate short-term wins. No matter how small it is, celebrate. It will keep the motivation going. And then you need to keep the cycle. On our left side, you find there is a goal progress review cycle. One is identify the area of adjustment. Then once you have identified that area of adjustment, then you need to make adjustments. The adjustment is done, then you need to celebrate, you need to review, you need to identify, you need to celebrate. So it becomes a cycle. And the cycle keeps moving. That every other moment, there's room for improvement, and that's why there's always room for review. That today you worked very hard, you scored 10. You review where you went wrong, tomorrow you get 15. You review where you went wrong again, you get 20. And every other time you're doing the review, then you are celebrating the short-term wins that are coming your way. Then adjustment. You have done reviews, and then there's the adjustment. You find that there are always two options. One, you can adjust your goals, or you can maintain your goals. This will be dependent on your evaluation. We know that life is dynamic, and sometimes your goals may need to be adjusted. For achievement of goals, you need to be flexible and willing to modify your goals or action plans based on new information or based on changes in your circumstances. So if you are the individual that we have here, sometimes you'll be torn between adjusting your goals or maintaining them. If you had planned to get to a particular point, then the question will be, are you getting there or not? You had a plan for 1 year, you envision to achieve your goal within 1 year, that is 12 months. A good individual will want to evaluate maybe monthly, quarterly, half-yearly, bi-yearly, etc. So if you have been doing an evaluation, you'll find during the first quarter, you fell short of your goals. During the half year, you are still below your goals. Then, as a good individual, you may decide to adjust your goals towards another direction, because you have realized that based on the trajectory, you are not doing well, because you failed on the first quarter, you failed on the second quarter. If you continue on the same trajectory, it tells you that at the end of the period, you still fail. So what do? You can adjust your goals. This can be done by modifying goals so that they can lead to a better alignment with the current circumstances and the information that is available. You have acquired new information that the resources that you anticipated may not be coming. So you may not be able to invest adequately to get to the goal that you had planned. So you can adjust the goal either if you had set a target of 20, then you can review to 15. Or you can keep the target at 20, but then you review the resource provision. If you had provided for resource 10, then you may find that you need to review the resources from 10 to 15 to be able to achieve that particular target. If you opt to maintain the goals, then the aspect or the idea is that the goals will remain as planned, and somehow, some way, you have already decided that you are not, again, looking towards achieving that goal because you are maintaining the same trajectory. The goal is remaining unchanged, but then you need to look for ways that means with which you can align with the long-term objectives. So maintaining the goal sometimes may not be the best option because you already have seen the trajectory is not working. If you find that by mid-year, things look promising, maybe you are at par with the milestone set or you are above, then you can maintain the goals. But if you find that you are not at par and basically you are performing below, then you may need to adjust the goals to align with the current circumstances, environment, and the information that you have. So what are the cons of goal setting, or what are the drawbacks of goal setting? You'll find that anything that is good has some setbacks. So what are some of these setbacks? As you set goals, most of the time we base on a projection based on some past data. So you find one of the challenges that the data that you have may not be very reliable, in that we may not be having an updated data, or the data may have changed within the period and we may not have learned, else we are relying our goals on unreliable data. Goals bring about an aspect of rigidity. While you're talking about being flexible, then you find the moment you have set your goal, there's always that rigidity that you want to keep. You want to see, yes, I can make it. I set this on myself, I want to achieve it. So that rigidity, again, comes about because you have set out a goal and you want to prove to yourself and others that you can achieve it. So it tends to bring about the aspect of rigidity. Then goal setting, again, is a time-consuming process because you need to sit down, you need to be inspired to get the inspiration of where you want to be, you need to define, you need to document, you need to do all those issues. You find that takes time, which otherwise would have been used to do something. That time you are planning, can use to do something else. Again, goal setting is a costly affair, in that for you to be able to understand all the processes, for you to be able to achieve what you have put in place may require you to invest a lot. We talked about resource requirement. It may require you to invest a lot to be able to achieve the goals in terms of maybe the resources that require time, money, personal effort, etc. may be costly. Then the environment that we're living in is rapidly changing. Circumstances keep changing. Information keeps changing. And as such, due to those changes, which are very rapid, we may not align with them, hence they may affect achievement of our goals. Then sometimes there's internal inflexibility. The goal may be rigid, but also there may be an individual inside of you. You may be a very rigid person individually, or in an organization, there may be internal rigidity, inflexibility. We just don't necessarily change to align with what the conditions avail us. So due to such inflexibility inside of us or inside of organizations, then it becomes a challenge in goal setting, because the goal setting will have brought about that inflexibility in us. Then there's the aspect of external inflexibility. Once we put in place some goals, it may be difficult for the immediate external environment to flex itself to suit into the changes that may be coming about. Then aspect of being expensive, some expensive and costly come closely together. So you may find that you may need to incur high costs to maintain or sustain a particular goal, or even to acquire an aspect of the goal, because we have set up to do a specific activity. You may have to pay a premium because you want to maintain it. We talked about flexibility. While the process in itself was costly because you need to cost every particular step, then you find there may be some resources required within the period, and the time you require them, they'll be very expensive, and you may not be able to change, or you may not be able to vary them, as you may need to buy them or acquire them at a high price because they are required at that particular period of time. And then lastly, there's the aspect of resistance to change. Many of the times, we get so used to these goals that the moment we have set out something, then we'll find that we develop in and among us ourselves that habit that we just keep doing things, not because they are necessary, but because we have accustomed ourselves to it so much that we want to just keep doing it. Not really because of the benefits, but because we have an inbuilt resistance to the changes about and around us. In conclusion, setting goals is a vital process that can lead to significant personal and professional growth. The focus should be on setting yourself up for success, and that's why you're setting up goals, because you want to succeed. However, the journey of goal setting is just as important as the destination. That you may be very happy setting out goals, drafting and documenting them, preparing a roadmap, but then the goal setting aspect should be as important as the destination, which is the outcome. So let's not focus so much on setting of the goal and forget implementing it. And by so doing, then we will be happy together. So in a nutshell, from the presentation, you find that it is necessary for you to reflect, have a reflection on what you are doing now and what you did before, as you focus on the aspirations for the future. You need to plan. Planning is very crucial. For you to be able to set the goals, you need to also plan on achieving the goal. What steps will you follow? What will be required in each particular of these steps? Then action. You need to take action on the plan that you have set out. You have defined many things. You have decided on what to do. Then the first step towards achieving your goal is to act on it. The moment it's on paper or in your mind, it is just as useless if you are not taking the first step to action it. Then you need to be consistent. Even in times when success is not feasible, keep being consistent. And that consistency will keep you motivated and also give you momentum to continue. Develop and maintain a positive mindset towards that particular goal, towards the people involved, and towards the processes. And lastly, remember and have in mind that failure is a possibility. Failure is a possibility. That don't get into goal setting, bearing in mind that you have the end goal is achievement of the aspiration. Sometimes we fall short of that. But even if you fall short of something, as you said at the beginning, let that form a learning point. Let that form a point of reference for yourself and others, that we have learned one way of not doing this thing, or we have learned how we can improve this to bring achievement. And by that point, I come to the end of my presentation. Back to you, Jay. Thank you very much for your audience.
Thank you so much, Dr. Solomon Hapo. That has been so impactful and insightful. I think I can see from the comment section, Esther there saying it's a powerful session. And we have a few questions from Regina, who feels that the session is of great value, and she has some questions that she would like you to take. I know you're behind time, kidogo, but I'm sure we'll be able to cover the question that she's shared. Guys, you can as well just write your takeaways in the chat section so that we see how this session has been beneficial to you. So number one is that Regina says that I recognize the value of mentorship in my leadership growth journey and included it in my 2025 goals. So number one, how and where to find the right mentor? the right mentor and how I effectively engage with them. How and where should she find the right mentor and how can she effectively engage with them? You can take that one first.
Thank you very much. Many of the times you will find that there is no shop there's no shop that stocks mentors or coaches. But we'll find the first step towards achieving our desires of acquiring resource persons, of which a mentor is a resource person, is through networks. I know you, you know me, and we refer each other as such. There are the industry leaders who are known and defined. If you belong to, for example, many of the networks, HR networks, and other related professional networks and social groups, you'll be able to interact with a couple of individuals that can hold hand you towards the right people that you require. So the easiest way and that I can advise is join these professional networks. And then from the first individual that you know in any of those networks, then you can form a snowballing network that you know one person will haul you onto another one. And by that way, you'll be able to reach many of the mentors that we know about. So it's more of reference working and networking that will be able to get to the mentor of your choice. Thank you, Jay.
Thank you so much for that answer. The second question is, what advice will you have for someone who wants to get started?
The biggest and the greatest challenge is starting, but you'll never start until you get in there. So I would tell someone who wants to get started is immerse yourself into it. Start with the small issues. Don't focus big. Start small. And by small, I mean start by setting your own individual in-house goals that you can achieve within a short while. And then you'll be able to understand, putting in practice the steps and the journey that you have walked. Try to set an in-house, a small task for yourself, a small goal within yourself. And the moment you'll be able to achieve that, it will give you some motivation to try something bigger. And then now you can get out to try other issues and other goals that involve other parties and stakeholders. Because the moment you have not tested yourself, then it will become a challenge going out there without knowing how the rest process may be, given that you have not tried a goal setting. So in a nutshell, try something small within your local capacity. See how it fares. Let it be within your local capacity and short term, very short term. And then based on it, then you can start building bigger into the external environment, from your immediate environment towards the professional world, and also towards focusing on longer period or longer terms. Thank you.
Now, most of the time we have people talk about ini mwaka yangu, last year I didn't make it, so this is my year. I want to set clear goals. Then we have the New Year's resolution. So the question is, when is the best time to set goals? Often we do this at the end of the year when you talk about the New Year resolutions. But is there a more effective approach?
The best time to set your goals is now. And the reason I'm saying now, in that if you're asking the best time to set your goal, most probably you have not set one. So if you've not set your goal, the earliest you can do it is now, because tomorrow may be a little bit late. However, if you have a tendency, you'll find you can be able to fit in to, let me say, the cliche of New Year resolutions and New Year plans. However, your plan or your goal should not be based on a given time frame. It depends on your specific needs. When we talked at the beginning of the session, it said that you should have aspirations, you should have goals. Your goals do not necessarily align with the calendar year, that is January to December. Your goals are individual specific. So the best time to set your goal is the moment you aspire or you start the journey towards the aspiration that you require. So you'll find, for example, today, if I want to buy a car, I'll not plan in January to buy a car. It will depend on when I want this car. So I'll start making my plans slowly. Starting now, I say maybe in the next 4 years, I want to buy a car. I may start the journey today. The goal setting towards that. Because again, in life, you may have very many goals, and the setting of each goal will be different based on its need. Like you find for us as a country, if I look bigger, for us as a country, we always have the government plans in terms of annual work plans, in terms of budget years that are worked on. We have a Vision 2030, which was done so many years back and yet to be achieved. We have medium-term plans that are a couple of years long. And find all these are planned at different times based on the needs in place. So the best is document your needs, your aspirations, and then start now. And the now is the moment you have that idea in your mind, start planning for it immediately. And then keep building on it as it nears. And then you can decide, by this time, I should have a concrete plan of what I want to do, because this plan requires like 1 year. So I've started slowly, like 2 years before, but by 1 year, I want to concretize the plan to be in place. So I may say that we don't have a definite period within which you should set your goals, but let your goal setting be guided by your aspirations and the time frames within which you have. If it is too pressing, then it may require little time. If you have got a longer period of time and lesser resources, you'll find your time frames will be different. So your goal setting should be guided by the aspiration, the resources requirement, and also the support system that is in place.
Now, the last two questions, how do you set goals in an assignment where you are the pioneer? You don't have much experience, nor much skills, but you're tasked to set up a governing structure in that area?
I would say that there's an adage that you don't need to redefine the will. You don't need to redesign the will. In as much as you are given an assignment that is your first time, you don't know it, it doesn't mean that you are the first one to do. It doesn't mean that the team you're working with do not have an idea. They may not have done it before, but it doesn't mean that they don't have an idea. And that's where you find the teamwork comes in. When you are given a leadership role, it doesn't mean that you are the best in the team, that the others necessarily need to follow you. It just means that you have been given the role to head and direct the individuals. So it's good always, as part of team formation, that you allow each one to share their ideas towards the goal that you have been given. That amongst yourself, discuss the goal that is in place. Like in this case, that we have been told to develop, I think, a governing structure. Discuss what each individual within that team makes of that particular assignment. Once you have discussed it, then you can be able to brainstorm and come up with issues and ideas of how you understand that and determine how you can be able to approach. And then you can be able to understand how you understand that particular exercise and how you can be able to achieve it. And by so doing, you'll find amongst your team, in as much as none may have done it before, some of you may have encountered this in different ways and different places, and they have some idea. And then by so doing, you can coalesce and collect those ideas and develop something out of it. If you need to validate that, then you can seek a professional to give an input to what you have. Majority of the times you find when you are given assignments, before you even try them out, we are quick to run to professionals. And the professionals will be able to do them for us. So the other task is you have been given a task, you may get out there and seek a professional who is an expert who will help you design one. But then you may not learn adequately. So my advice would be, sit with your team, brainstorm over it, come up with a write-up of how each one understands the governing structure, come up with samples of how you feel you can be able to achieve that. If you don't feel confident about it, then you can seek professional advice from an expert who should give you an idea or try to enhance and build it to what you have, and then now you can come on to finish on it. However, don't take it that being the leader, you need to have the brain and expertise to do it. It's not your work, it is the work of the team. So let the team brainstorm over it, work over it, look for a way around it, and decide the way forward, so that if you decide that what you have come up with is workable, you can work on it. If you feel you need a third party or an expert, then you can engage one. Thank you, Jay.
Thank you so much. I think that question has answered the last question. Thank you, Dr. Solomon, for the insightful session. I've gained the knowledge in different areas, including defining my goals, writing down my goals, and developing positive habits and routines. People don't often speak about the cons of goal setting. You did, and I've noted them down. Thank you so much for the platform. I think at that point, I would like to thank you so much, Daktari, for that insightful session and for taking your time to be with us to start us the year of with this inspiring and more. It's just come at the right time when now we're just starting off the year, and now we need to be very intentional in what we're doing. And by the end of 2025, we'll be coming back with testimonies on how this session has been insightful to us and how it has helped us achieve our goals in 2025. So thank you so much, everyone. Let's close with a word of prayer. Father Almighty, thank you for the session that you had. Thank you for leading us through from the start until the end, Lord. Father, as we prepare to rest, Lord, we pray that may you protect us and cover us with the blood of Son Jesus Christ, Lord. And as we near the weekend, Lord, we pray that, Father, may you continue guiding us and giving us the wisdom, Father, to even handle the tasks that lie ahead of us, even in the weekend, Lord. We pray this, trusting and believing in the mighty name of Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Thank you so much, and have a good night, everyone.